Are you ready to start your business, but you're not sure of all of the administrative pieces you need to have in place? Well, stay tuned because today I'm going to teach you 10 things that you must do in order to start your business the right way. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I post a new video about how to start, build, and scale a successful and profitable online business. Now today what I'm going to be doing is sharing with you 10 things that you must have in place in order to really start your business the right way. Now what we're going to be covering today are administrative items that oftentimes people overlook. Now perhaps you've already started your business. Well, stay tuned anyway because I can promise you the information I'm going to be sharing today is going to be helpful to you as well. There may be some things that you need to go back and do or some things you weren't even aware of. So let's jump right into the information. All right, point number 1. Here's where I'm going to recommend that you register your business with your local state as well as city. Now, it may not be required for you to register your business with your city, however, you should check that. Now, what do I mean by registering your business? Here's where you're going to look at really creating an entity, something that's going to offer you protection of your personal assets as well as limiting liability. Now, one of the ways you can do that is by forming an LLC, which is a limited liability company, or you could look at perhaps forming a corporation. Now, which of those entities is going to be best for you is going to depend upon your personal situation. So you may want to really consult with an attorney or perhaps with a CPA, explain your personal situation to them, and they will help you determine the best type of entity for you. All right, step number 2 is to get a business address. Now, personally, you want to do this as fast as humanly possible because there are going to be times where you will be asked for your address, your business's address. And what you don't want to do is to begin the process of using your own personal address. Case in point is this. When you are applying for a limited liability company or a corporation, that information is public record. And when you're asked to enter an address, if you enter your home address, please understand that means anybody searching for your business records will know your personal address. So instead of doing that, I highly recommend that you look into either a P.O. box, a UPS store address, or perhaps a virtual office, something that will give you an address other than your own that you can put onto information that you're going to be asked to provide that may be public record. Now, this is really something that if you're applying for an LLC or a corporation, you really want to get this business address in place before you submit the paperwork to apply for that company, because once again, that's going to be public information. So look at what it takes to form that. Typically, you can have a business address set up in, a very short period of time. Now that is yours to use each and every time you're asked to supply an address for your business. All right, item number 3 is to obtain an EIN number. An EIN number, which stands for Employer ID Number, is really a unique identifying number that is assigned by the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, that is specific to your business. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't have any employees. Well, it's really not necessarily just for that. Your EIN is going to be used for a variety of things, from being able to open a bank account to being able to apply for business credit. And also, let's say you're doing some affiliate marketing. One of the things you're going to be asked to provide periodically is something called a W-9. Now, a W-9 is really just a verification that your employer ID number is in fact the correct number. So just know that you're going to need that. Now, here's something that you should be aware of. You can go to irs.gov. Once you're on that website, you're going to simply type in EIN, and it's going to direct you to the page that's going to explain to you the process of applying. Now, here's the great thing. It's very simple to apply for an EIN. You're simply going to be asked to enter information about your business's address. It's going to ask some information about you personally, or the owners, I should say. And from that point, you're really going to just submit the form. Now, understand there are 3 different ways to apply. You can apply online, via phone, or via fax. Now, by far, the easiest way to apply is going to be online. The entire process is only going to take you about 10 minutes, and at the conclusion of submitting the information, you will be given your EIN. Now, that's going to be important because many of the next steps that follow are going to rely upon you having your EIN. Now, here's the other thing I should share with you. If you have submitted your paperwork to the state to apply for your LLC or your corporation, just know that you have to wait until your paperwork has been approved and your company is officially recognized before you can apply for an EIN. All right? So, last thing I'll say on that is this. There are some people out there that will tell you that for $75 or $100 or $200, they will complete your EIN paperwork. Quite frankly, it's really not worth paying that. The process of applying is very simple, and as long as you can read and follow simple instructions, you can obtain your own EIN number. I'll drop a link below to the website where you go to specifically apply for and obtain your EIN. Number 4, this is where you want to apply for a business bank account. Now, it's important that you apply for a business bank account as soon as you obtain your EIN, because from that point forward, you want to make sure that any business transactions that you have, whether that is income that you receive or expenses that you pay that relate to your business, flow through that business bank account. Now, in order to open a business bank account, typically you're going to need to have in place your paperwork from the state that shows that your business has been formed. The second thing that you're going to need to have in place is a business address. And the third thing is your EIN. So as soon as possible, after getting your EIN and the other paperwork obviously in place, you want to go ahead and get that bank account open, because the last thing you want to do is start to do what's referred to as commingling your personal and business expenses. You want to make sure that you use this business bank account strictly for business transactions and keep them separate from your personal transactions. Now, the last thing I want to say on this is simply this. You do not want to run any personal transactions through your business account. I promise you that is one of the easiest ways to start to do what's referred to as commingling. And if you were to ever get audited by the IRS, if they see that type of thing happening, trust me, you don't want to be in that situation, because the IRS will not look kindly on commingling of your personal and business funds. All right, number 5 is to buy your name as your domain or your .com name. So let me give you an example. My name is Rhonda M. Jordan. So I own the domain rhondamjordan.com. Now, I suggest you do this as quickly as possible. And the reason why is there are individuals out there that will simply look for newly formed companies, and specifically those companies that have been formed by an individual. And because they're entrepreneurs and they're smart, one of the things they will do is go and register the domain name, register your name as a domain name, and then they will attempt to sell it to you. So I highly recommend that you do that as quickly as possible. Now, there are a lot of different registrars where you can actually purchase your domain name. You're going to pay about, $10 for the initial year, depending on the registrar that you go through. And then from that point forward, it's probably going to be less than $20 to maintain the annual renewal of your domain. Now, it's well worth it because you want to start to really use that as a way of branding yourself. Even if you don't do anything other than just buy the domain and let it sit, if you're not yet ready to build a website, go ahead and buy it. Because at some point in the future, you may be ready to build a website and you don't want to have to go through a whole negotiation process with someone who's essentially holding your name hostage in order to be able to use that. So as soon as possible, buy your domain. Now what I will do is I'll link below the domain registrar that I use and have been using for about 10 to 12 years. I've never had any issues with them. I think they're great to do business with, and it's the place where I purchase all of my domain names. If this information is resonating with you, hit the like button. Also, I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know which of these steps you've already implemented or will be implementing in the future. All right, number 6 is to set up a professional email address. Now, why do you want to set up a professional email address, and what even is a professional email address? Well, that is something that is going to contain your domain name. So let's say, for example, your name is Jessica. It might be jessica@yourdomain.com. Now understand, the domain is the domain that you have already purchased, and hopefully it is in fact your name. What that is going to do is to really establish a very professional appearance. See, we're not using Gmail accounts, we're not using Yahoo, or certainly not AOL. You want to appear very professional right out of the gates, and one of the best ways to do that is by having that professional email address. Just think of it this way. When you're sending out correspondence to the email list that hopefully you're going to be building, or perhaps have already started building, you want to make sure that they recognize your domain, because they've become accustomed to doing business with you. They've become accustomed to receiving information from you. It's just going to make you appear so much more professional. And here's another tip. When you are planning to apply for business credit, and I know I keep mentioning business credit, but down the road, that's definitely something you want to be able to do. And when you are preparing to apply for business credit, you are definitely going to need a professional email address, and they're going to also ask you about your website. Now, I mentioned earlier that you might not be ready to start a website. You may not be ready to actually have that designed and get it ready to go. That's okay. You can still create an email address that has your domain name, even if you haven't yet set up a website. You just want to make sure that you start using that and start using it as soon as possible. Again, we want to be professional in everything we do, and the best way to do that is to make sure that any correspondence that we're sending out includes our domain name. Number 7, set up accounts with third-party payment processors such as Stripe, PayPal, and Square. Now, you don't need to use all 3 of these. Just pick the one that you're most comfortable with and set up an account with them. Now, the reason why you want to do this is going to give you a lot more flexibility in terms of ways to collect funds. See, a lot of people are going to want to pay you via credit card or debit card. And instead of having to go through the process of applying for a merchant account, it's just easy to set up with the companies that I've mentioned. Now, when you do establish accounts with them, it's free to do so. Typically, you may have to pay a small fee for the hardware that you use if you're accepting in-person payments. But for the most part, it's going to be free to set the account up. Now, where you will be charged a fee is when someone uses their debit or credit card, you're going to be charged a fee on a per transaction basis. Now, it's important that you set those accounts up using your business name as well as your EIN number. And you will need to link a bank account to your third-party payment processor. Now, when you link this account, of course, it should be your business bank account. And you want to make sure that all of the transactions related to business are getting transferred right into your business bank account, because what that does is it establishes a very clean line for the IRS, for example, if they were going to audit you, to see that all of the funds that you've collected have in fact landed into your business account. Number 8 is to make sure that you create invoices for all products sold or services rendered. Now, depending on how you are asking people for payment, this may determine the type of invoice you're going to need to create. For example, let's say you're selling things on your website. Well, it may not be necessary to create an individual invoice because the way that you're accepting payment may do that for you. But let's say, for example, you are rendering a service to someone. Let's say you're a business coach and you are billing them by the hour. Well, you can either create a manual invoice or you can invoice them through something like one of the third-party processors that we talked about, such as Stripe or PayPal. The point is, you need to always be able to track all of your sources of income. And one of the best ways to do it, and the most professional way to do it, is to make sure that there is an invoice created for each and every transaction that is not done, for example, in an online fashion. Now, on that same note, you have to remember that every amount of income that you collect has to have a way of being accounted for, and of course it's going to end up in your bank account. So the cleaner the transactions, the cleaner you can make the transactions for tracking purposes, the better off you're going to be. Number 9, you want to make sure that you are tracking all of your income and expenses. And you can do this either by using a spreadsheet, or you can set up something like QuickBooks. Now, QuickBooks is an accounting system, and you are going to pay either a monthly or an annual fee in order to use it. If you're not quite ready to do that, a spreadsheet is going to work just fine. You can set it up in such a way that you have all of your sources of income and you show all of the expenses that you pay. Now, all of that should line up with what is coming through your bank account. You want to always have good financial records, and you want to have a way of knowing what your income and expenses are on a month-to-month basis, as well as on an annual basis. That way you can see, where you might be spending too much money, or perhaps when your income dipped. So it's better for you to have a tracking system in place for your income and expenses, because that way if you're ever audited, you can very easily turn those financial records over to the auditor. Number 10, here's where you want to set up folders to house all of the receipts for items that you've paid for throughout the course of the month or the year. You want to make sure you have a receipt for every transaction where money has left your bank account. Now, you can either snap pictures of those on your phone and keep those copies in a digital folder, or you can set up physical folders. And I would probably suggest that you set those up either on a monthly basis and then keep all of the months together for a specific year. You want to do the same thing with any invoices that you create, because this way you have a way of tracking all of the sources of income that you have received. Now, all of the expenses that are in your folders and all of the invoices that you have should once again line up with what has happened in your bank account. Now, you want to make sure that you keep all of these folders, whether it's digital or manual folders, because that's what you're going to turn over to your accountant or your tax preparer when it's time to do your tax returns. And you want to keep those folders nice and neat, or however you're giving it to them, because they don't want to have to dig through and try to figure out all of your stuff. So just make sure that those folders also are supported by the tracking system that you have in place, whether that's your spreadsheet or if you're using QuickBooks. In other words, they should be able to find a receipt or an invoice for every transaction that has occurred and gone through your bank account. So keep good records. Make sure that you have a backup for everything, because if something were to happen and you lose the manual files, you lose all your data. So you have to have a way of backing all of that up. Also, even if you're doing it in a digital fashion where you're saving things, make sure you have a backup. Well, you have made it to the end, and I want to make sure that you incorporate these 10 items into your business, because in the long run, what it's going to do is to allow you to have a very professional business and to start setting yourself up for business credit, as we've talked about throughout. Well, you've made it to the end. I hope you've enjoyed this video and certainly hope that you have learned something. Also, if you've gotten value from this video, be sure to give it a like so that the YouTube algorithm will show it to even more people who can benefit from the information contained in this video. And make sure to check out this video next. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care and have a great day.